Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tiffany Benson, one part of Team Benson, and today we are going to talk about different ways that you can preserve your food without canning, because sometimes canning can be a little intimidating. So right now I went shopping for canning jars because I have been learning to pressure can and also learn to water bath can. Actually, pressure canner's right here. I haven't done that one yet, but I will tomorrow. And I found that jars, like the canning jars, have become like the new toilet paper, where they are very difficult to find. So I went back to some of the old ways that I preserved food for my family before I got really bold and was like, I'm going to can, which I have done so far a couple things, and not gonna lie, they're pretty good. I opened them up and ate a couple and they're pretty good. So today we're gonna talk about freezing and different ways that you can freeze things. We're gonna talk about two different ways that you can freeze things. I've done a couple of videos before on my channel. One was making dill butter, and then the other one was freezing herbs. So I'll link those down below so that you guys can see those if you guys want to do that. Because a lot of my herbs I either dry or freeze. Those are the two ways that I preserve them. Or I make butters, which are also frozen. So anyways, we are going to look at chilies. So these ones are hatch chilies, which I already have these ones done, but these chilies we're not going to freeze today just because we're gonna make chili rellenos. I think I said it right. And then we are also going to freeze broccoli. So my garden, as a small space garden, produces a lot of stuff. Sometimes it doesn't produce enough stuff to preserve, depending on what it is. Broccoli, we could have broccoli once a week when broccoli gets going in my garden. But we don't have enough broccoli to be able to have it once a week and then also put up a giant stash of broccoli too as well. So a lot of times, if I find broccoli on sale, or if I find it at a farmer's market or something like that, I will get a big ton of broccoli and just freeze it myself, because that's the way that I prefer to use it. Now, when it comes to chilies, the one thing that I do is I roast the chili first. They're hot chilies, so it's amazing when you roast them. So all you're gonna do is you're going to wash your chilies, and then you're just going to lay them out on a pan and stick them in an oven at 400 degrees and roast them until they are charred on all the sides. Once they're charred on all the sides, you want to remove the top, remove the seeds, and then remove the skin, and everything just slides off really easy once it's all charred. Then what I do is I take the inside, so like the pulp of the chili, and I mush it up and I put it into ice cube trays, and then I freeze it. So all of these are just little mushed up cubes of greatness. And I use these silica ones just because they're a lot easier to come out. And as you can see, it's just a little thing of roasted chili. So I could easily use this by, if I'm making a big soup that I want to add a little bit of spice to, I just take one or two of those cubes, throw them into the big soup thing. I don't even have to defrost them. I just throw them in there and it'll give my soup a nice roasted chili flavor. Or I can also put it on chicken. A lot of times if I have chicken that I want to have for like enchiladas or something like that, I'll have chicken in the pressure cooker. I'll throw one or two of those chilies in there, or chili cubes in there, and then just pressure cook it and then bring it out and then roll it up in my tortillas, add some cheese, and it's amazing. So that's just one really easy way to preserve your chilies. Chilies are amazing, and they can add a lot to a dish, and they also add a lot of spice to your dishes too as well. For those of you guys that are planning for cold and flu season, which I already start planning and making sure that I have some of the things that I want to use for flu and cold season, chilies are one of them. Somebody has a stuffy nose, somebody has a sore throat, throw a hot chili in there into their chicken soup. Give them the chicken soup. It's gonna ease a lot of that, and it's gonna also open up sinuses. It'll be a little spicy, so you do have to like spice. So now I have this little amazing bag of roasted chili cubes for if somebody is sick and needs some decongestion, or if I just want to add some great flavor to a dish or a soup or some chicken or whatever. It's going to be amazing, and it's going to taste like Hatch chilies, which is, if you guys do not have those, get them because they're really, really good. I'm actually going to be trying to save some seeds out of these and sprouting them to see if I can grow some, because Hatch chilies, those are the chilies you want to have. Now, broccoli is going to be a little bit different. Broccoli, we are going to go through a different process called blanching. But first, we want to make sure that there's no little buggies or anything that is on or in this broccoli. Now, I did buy organic broccoli from a farmer's market store, but you never know. So if you didn't grow it yourself, you always want to make sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off all of the little broccoli flowers, and then I'm going to soak it in a brine of water and salt. And that will make anything that's in there come out. So you want to push down your broccoli just to ensure that it is completely covered and that it's soaking. And we're going to let this soak for about 5 to 10 minutes. Alright guys, so here's the steps. It's going to go from the boiling water to a ice bath and then to a colander to drain. Now, while this is soaking, I'm going to let the water boil and just added a couple ice cubes to this water to keep it pretty cold. Now while that's doing its thing, I have to tell you guys this funny story. So it's been going around on Facebook where everybody is putting different fruits and vegetables into water and adding salt, and then they're all amazed that there's bugs coming out of it. And I laughed when I saw it, because I'm like, when I go to a grocery store and bugs don't come out of my food, then I'm like, what did you guys use to get it bug-free like that? Because typically that is a sign of a lot of pesticides when you can get something and no bugs come in there. I used to be freaked out earlier in my 20s before I gardened about putting things and growing things and having bugs in it. I would be so freaked out. But now that I garden, it's like, there's bugs in my garden. Whenever I pull something out of there, I'm forever picking out little worms when I'm soaking it in my brine. So to always remember, there's gonna be bugs. That is it. You'll probably eat a couple too. It's gonna be okay, but always have salt and water on hand. You could even use some vinegar to make a little brine, but I just thought I'd share that funny story with you guys. Okay, so it's almost done getting ready. It's getting hot. You don't want it to be like a roiling boil. I always have trouble saying that word. But you want it just to be like really, really hot. Just what blanching does is kind of, one, kills the enzymes that keep things from changing colors, and then also it just kind of gets rid of any other thing that might be on it. Just in case there was something sprayed on it, you can get it off through blanching. But one thing I want to mention, guys, is the bulk book. It is the preserving book. It has all different types of information on all different types of preserving. So if you guys are looking for something to help you with preserving, get this book. I'll put a link to it down below. There is a section on freezing, and it goes through each type of vegetable, so you know how long to blanch it for, what to do to it, if you need to put it in a brine, how to preserve it, and all those different things on what you need to do. So this book will help. So I don't have an insanely huge pot, so we're going to do it a little bit at a time. So we're just going to drop them on in there. Now, when it comes to doing broccoli, I always blanch my broccoli for 3 minutes. So we're just going to put that right there. Now, one of these little skimmer spoons works really, really well. So you're just gonna put it in there, let it kind of do its thing. Broccoli tends to float, so I always make sure that I kind of push it down a little bit. Now it's been about 3 minutes, so now I'm just gonna take it out. Now your broccoli is still going to be pretty firm because you didn't cook it, you just kind of shocked it a little bit. And I'm gonna put it right into the cold water. And this is gonna immediately stop the cooking process. So then you don't have mushy broccoli when you go to use this broccoli after you freeze it. So we're gonna get it all out of here. And then as that is sitting in the cold water, we're gonna get the next batch of broccoli and put it in the hot water. So now moving on down, we're going to take the broccoli that's in the cold water. And as you can see, it still has its coloring and now it's chilled. And we're just gonna take this and strain it until it's completely drained of its water. Now, if you don't let it dry, then you are going to have clumps of broccoli because the water is going to freeze with it. But you can also freeze it just kind of on a cookie sheet. I'm not going to do that today just because I don't have room in my freezer for a cookie sheet. But you can do that to prevent it from clumping up. I do that with all of my herbs because herbs, no matter what, it feels like they always clump up. So I always let them freeze laid out on a cookie sheet. But the broccoli, we're just gonna let it dry nice and dry, and then we're going to pop it in a freezer bag. Alright guys, so I actually put it on a cookie sheet. I am gonna let it cool completely down, so I'm going to just sit it out on the countertop and let it dry all the way. So it's pretty cold, like I can pick it up, but I wanna make sure that it's completely dry before putting it in the bags. One thing I do want to remind you guys is don't forget we are doing our giveaway. We are on the road to 2.5K subscribers. So if you haven't already, please make sure that you hit the big red subscribe button and join the Team Benson team because we are very excited and grateful and thankful for all of you guys that watch our videos and support us on our journey as we learn to garden and eventually build a homestead. So make sure you subscribe because that's greatly appreciated, and we will be giving away our seed giveaway for our medicinal seeds, which I will post the flyer right here. Alright guys, and now I have a bag of broccoli that's ready to go in the freezer. Now how I got all the air out of it is I just went over to the side and I stuck a little straw in there, and then I just sucked all the air out. Sucking all the air out of it will help it lay flat, and it'll also just help it freeze a lot better and make sure it doesn't get any frostbite or anything like that. So you just pop this in the freezer and now it's ready to go. So I'm gonna bag up the rest of the broccoli, but I hope this helps to give you guys an idea of how else you can preserve your food without having to use a pressure canner or a water bath canner. But until next time, make sure you guys are growing yourselves a garden because even though it's hot, even a small space will provide you with tons of food. Bye guys!